In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to handle returns and refunds in Zendrop without destroying your profit margins. And make sure you stay until the end, because I'm also going to show you when you should refund even if Zendrop doesn't, and how to do it without hurting your business. A lot of new dropshippers think refunds are just part of the game, and yes, some are unavoidable, but most stores don't lose money because refunds exist. They lose money because they panic, refund too fast, and don't have structure. If you're using Zendrop with Shopify, this is where you protect your store long-term. I'm Erin from Ecom Mastery. Let's get into it. The real reason stores lose money on refunds. Before we talk about Zendrop, you need to understand this clearly. Stores don't lose money because customers request refunds. They lose money because they refund without verifying. They refund out of fear. They promise policies that don't match their supplier. In dropshipping, your goal is not to eliminate refunds. That is impossible, but your goal is to control how they happen. Zendrop gives you supplier structure and tracking, but you control the policy. That's where beginners usually mess up. So let me give you a quick real example. Let's say you sell a product for $49. Your Zendrop cost is $18, shipping is $5, payment processing is about $2, and you spent $20 on ads to get that customer. On paper, you made around $4 in profit. Now imagine the customer says they changed their mind and you instantly refund them without checking supplier policy. So what just happened? You're not getting your ad spend back, you're not getting processing fees back either, and if Zendrop doesn't approve it, you're not getting your product cost back either. That one quick refund just wiped out the profit and cost you over $40. That's how stores quietly lose money. Step 1, set a clear refund policy before you sell. So this step is non-negotiable. Before you run ads or accept your first order, your store needs a clearly written refund policy. It should explain what qualifies for a refund, how many days customers have, whether the product must be returned, who pays for return shipping, and how damaged items are handled. If this is vague, customers assume refunds apply to everything. A strong policy sets boundaries before problems start. For example, you can allow refunds for defective items within 30 days of delivery. You can require photo or video proof for damage. You can state that buyer's remorse returns require the customer to pay return shipping, and that creates structure. And this is critical for Zendrop. Suppliers do not automatically refund you unless there is a valid issue. If your store promises full refunds for any reason, but Zendrop does not support that reason, the money comes out of your margin. Your policy must match how fulfillment actually works. Step 2, handling refunds inside of Zendrop. So now I am inside of Zendrop and I'm going to click on orders on the left. So you can see that my dashboard shows 0 orders, but this is just a demo account. For you, once you're selling, your orders will appear here. At the top, you'll see your total orders, unfulfilled, processing, in transit, and canceled. So this gives you your whole status overview. If a customer emails you asking for a refund, this is going to be where you start. So what you want to do is go to the search orders bar and you want to paste in the order number. If it doesn't show up, you want to adjust the date filter. You can also click filter and you can sort by status. Once you find that order, click into it and check the status. If it's unfulfilled, you may be able to cancel it before it ships. If it's in processing or in transit, that means fulfillment has already started, so you cannot automatically cancel it. If the customer claims that the item is damaged or defective, you must get photo or video proof first. Then what you would want to do is go to Help Center on the top right. Then you want to submit a support request with the order number and attach the customer's proof. Zendrop will review the claim. If they approve a refund or replacement, that credit goes to your Zendrop balance. Then you go back into Shopify and refund the customer manually. So Zendrop handles supplier refunds, you handle customer refunds. So that separation is what protects your margins. Step 3, understand when Zendrop actually refunds you. Now I'm inside of Zendrop's refund, replacement, and return policy. So this page is one of the most important pages you will ever read as a dropshipper. So Zendrop clearly states that refunds are only issued when the company is at fault. That means the issue must be caused by the supplier or shipping process. So examples include a damaged product, an incorrect item, a missing item, or a verified delivery failure. In those situations, Zendrop Zendrop may issue a refund or resend the product. But if the customer simply changes their mind, or they enter the wrong shipping address, they order the wrong size, or just doesn't like the product, that does not automatically qualify for a supplier refund. So this is where most beginners lose money, because Zendrop protects you when the supplier is responsible. So they do not cover emotional refunds. If you refund a customer for buyer's remorse without supplier approval, that money comes directly out of your margin. So you have to really understand that clearly before you even scale your store. Now let's look at delays and delivered orders. So Zendrop outlines specific timeframes for delivery issues. If an order has no tracking updates and exceeds certain time limits like 45 days for US orders or 60 days globally, Zendrop may resend the product or issue a refund at their discretion. But here's the key detail. If tracking shows that the order was delivered, refunds are not automatically approved. If a customer claims they did not receive the item, Zendrop may require a non-delivery certification from the carrier or postal service. That means you cannot immediately refund every "I didn't get it" email out of fear. First thing you want to do is check tracking. Second, confirm delivery status. Third, follow Zendrop's documented process. If you skip verification and refund the customer before checking with Zendrop, you're gonna risk losing money twice. Once to the customer and once to the supplier. Now let's talk about damaged or incorrect products. Zendrop requires photo or video evidence within a specific time frame, so it's typically within 30 days of delivery. They are very clear about what qualifies. If the product itself is broken, defective, incorrect, or missing, that can qualify for a refund or replacement. But if only the packaging is damaged and the product works properly, that does not qualify. So that distinction is extremely important. Customers may send you emotional messages with strong language, but emotion is not evidence. You need clear photos and you need proof of defect. Without proper evidence, Zendrop will not approve the claim, and if Zendrop does not approve it, any refund you issue becomes your financial responsibility. Protecting your margin. This entire policy page should shape your store's refund policy, not the other way around. Your store rules must align with Zendrop's rules. If Zendrop requires proof, you require proof. If Zendrop only refunds when the supplier is at fault, your policy should clearly communicate the same standard. When your store policy mirrors your supplier's conditions, you eliminate confusion, reduce emotional refunds, and protect your profit. Most beginners ignore this alignment, and that's why they bleed cash. You are not trying to eliminate refunds, you're just trying to control them strategically. Step 4, when you should refund without Zendrop. So now let's talk about the situations where Zendrop will not refund you, but you may still decide to refund the customer anyway. This is where business judgment comes in. If a customer is being aggressive, threatening chargebacks, or leaving negative reviews, sometimes issuing a partial refund is cheaper than fighting the dispute. A chargeback not only costs you the product cost, it also adds processing fees and can hurt your payment processor relationship. But here's the key. If you refund in these cases, do it strategically. Consider partial refunds instead of full refunds, offer store credit instead of cash when appropriate, offer a replacement instead of immediately returning money. You are not obligated to give full refunds for buyer's remorse unless your policy promises that. And if your policy is structured correctly from the beginning, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you have room to stand firm. The goal is not to win every single argument. The goal is to protect your payment processor's health and long-term store stability. Sometimes a controlled loss is smarter than an emotional fight. Step 5, prevent refunds before they happen. The best refund strategy is prevention. Most refund requests come from one of 4 problems: slow shipping, unclear product descriptions, poor communication, or unrealistic expectations. First, set realistic shipping times on your product pages. Do not promise 5-day delivery if your supplier ships in 12. Over-promising creates angry customers. Second, improve your your product descriptions. Show real photos, add sizing charts, add clear use case explanations. The clearer your listing, the fewer surprises. Third, send automated email updates. When customers feel informed, they panic less. Panic is what triggers refund emails. Fourth, respond calmly and professionally. A fast, confident response often prevents escalation. Refund control is not just about policy, it's about expectation management. Step 6, handling chargebacks the right way. Now let's talk about something even more serious than refunds, chargebacks. If a customer disputes the charge with their bank instead of emailing you, you must respond immediately. First, you want to gather your evidence. That includes proof of delivery, tracking information, customer communication, product page screenshots, and your refund policy. Second, respond through Shopify or your payment processor dashboard with structured evidence. Do not ignore it. Ignoring a chargeback guarantees you lose. Third, look for patterns. If you see repeat fraud attempts, tighten your fraud filters. Consider requiring signature confirmation on high-risk orders. Chargebacks hurt more than refunds. They damage your processing reputation, so your entire refund system should aim to reduce them before they happen. Refunds are a system, not an emotion. Here's the big picture. Refunds are not random, they are a system, and systems either protect your margin or they destroy it. Zendrop protects you when the supplier is at fault, your policy protects you when your customers test boundaries, your communication prevents escalation, and your documentation protects you in disputes. If you align your store policy with Zendrop supplier rules, verify every claim before refunding, require proof for defects, and stay calm under pressure, refunds stop being scary. They become controlled. Most beginners bleed money because they react emotionally. Professionals respond with structure. If you build that structure early, you protect your profit while still delivering fair customer service. And that's how you scale without losing money on returns. If you're not using Zendrop yet, I will leave a link down below so you can set up your account and work with suppliers that actually have structured refund policies in place. And if you haven't launched your store yet, I will also leave my Shopify link below so you can start your store the right way from day one. Build the foundation correctly, then scale. I'm Erin from Ecom Mastery. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.